We're not dead in the water just yet, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, Jan. I hope you're all doing well. I really do hope that. That's right, deadline day drama continues throughout the day. Video 2 here on the 31st of August on deadline day. This here on the day of my daughter's wedding. Deadline day. Very, very exciting. Chelsea have a very strong squad. We're okay. We fixed the biggest problem in Romelu Lukaku. Rather, a striker with Romelu Lukaku. Trevor Chalobah offers additional defensive solidity at the back. People are speculating on whether Jules Kounde deal is completely dead. As things stand, they are saying release clause or nothing. And to be honest, man, they have massively changed their tune, because for a long, long time, they were suggesting that, yes, a figure can be reached, an agreement can be reached that, isn't the release clause. So they have moved the goalpost, something we've discussed in previous videos, probably because they've seen Chelsea have got more money with the sale of Kurt Zouma, and we're down a defender, so they probably feel like they can twist our arms a little bit more, so we'll be keeping a tab on that story, as well as the Saul Niguez update, so consider dropping a like to show your support for this channel, Football Therapy, and of course, I'd urge you all to subscribe and make sure you hit the bell notifications icon to ensure you've got notifications turned on and you're the first to be updated with Chelsea news, and feel free to follow me on Instagram. Cool, so today we will be citing an article from The Athletic, from David Ornstein, an exclusive from the reporter, who mainly talks about Arsenal, but often speaks about some exciting stuff regarding Chelsea. Of course, it's behind a paywall, and I would urge you guys to go check out The Athletic. I'll leave a link to said article in the description, and I'll be reading what there is on it. So, let's have a quick gander. Chelsea actively working to sign Atletico Madrid's Saul Ñíguez on loan. So it's the same structure of a deal, a loan deal for the Spanish midfielder. And of course, the more we think about this and reflect on it, with Kante's injury again at the weekend, you're thinking, well, if this happens and we only have Jorginho and Kovacic as senior midfielders, and I want to stress senior midfielders here, because as things stand, we still have Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Ethan Ampadu on the books. We still can put Mason Mount in the 6-6 role. That sort of divides opinion a little bit, but remember, Mason Mount is technically very good with the ball, and he's got a lot of football intelligence. Tuchel has trusted him there before, and he will absolutely probably back him and trust him to play that role again. And if Mason Mount does indeed drop into that 6-6 role, we've got so many attackers to come into the front three. Ziyech, who looked like a man on fire in pre-season, he's yet to, play properly in the front three. Timo Werner, Callum Hudson-Odoi, who looks like he won't be allowed to go on loan to Dortmund. We have so many options for that front three that, we can survive with Mason Mount dropping that little bit deeper. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. And with the centre-back situation as well, we have Reece James, who can play right centre-back. Trevor Chalobah's come in. It's not the end of the world. So, that being said, a senior midfielder and maybe Jules Kounde going over the line, it is very much Saul or Kounde at the moment here on deadline day. So let's have a little look at this. Chelsea are actively working to sign Atletico Madrid's Saul Niguez on a season-long loan with an option to buy. The 26-year-old midfielder is under contract at Atletico until 2026. Of course, he signed a 9-year deal, which is hugely peculiar at the Wanda Metropolitano for Diego Simeone's men. An insanely long deal. The arrival of Saul is likely to be the end of Chelsea's incomings this window. I guess this is in relation to Jules Kounde being the referenced potentiality. Saul has fallen down the pecking order at Atletico. He played 33 games last season as Atletico won La Liga, scoring 2 goals, but Diego Simeone's side have signed Rodrigo de Paul this summer, who plays in central midfield. Interesting, they're prioritising another player over Saul, who of course is an amazingly talented player who got a 9-year deal. Surely that should raise some eyebrows, right? I mean, I know he's a great player. Yes, he hasn't had his best season last year, but still, man. He started the club's opening 2 La Liga games this campaign, but was dropped to the bench for their recent 2-2 draw against Villarreal, which was a funny game for a couple of reasons, appearing as a second-half substitute. Interesting, he broke through at Atletico, making his first-team debut for the club against Besiktas in March 2012. Jeez! So, best part 9 years ago, he must have been well young. He has played 230 times for them in the league, scoring 26 goals. So, yeah, like a bit of a club legend in many ways at the young age of 26 still. But, you know, a technically elite player for the midfield that could be a decent option for a senior player in that double six for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea. During his time in the first team, Atletico had won La Liga, the Copa del Rey, the Europa League twice, and the UEFA Super Cup. They also finished as runners-up in the Champions League final in 15-16. Saul has also picked up 19 senior Spain caps, which is alright, I suppose, considering the level he's been playing at. So, let's just talk about Saul a little bit before we move on. Yeah, I'd be happy with this move, but 100% because it is a loan. There's very little risk because if Chelsea can achieve a loan with no obligation to buy, then I think we'll be very, very happy because it's just an option here. We can keep an eye on the likes of Gilmour at Norwich, and Tuchel can make an educated decision what he wants to do for next season come next summer. But of course, this is Chelsea Football Club, and thinking that far ahead is like a new thing for us. Do you know what I mean? With a coach, I think it'll be a great acquisition. It would be relatively risk-free, and I'd be very happy with that. I think provided there's no obligation to buy, there might be a few tricky elements to the deal in the sense of perhaps there wouldn't be an obligation to buy initially unless perhaps Chelsea play him over 20 times in the league, or whatever. He meets a certain amount of appearances. It means Chelsea, used him a lot, then they got to buy him. Like, you try, you buy when you go into stores. You know what I mean? We'll have to keep an eye on this. I'm sure I'll do another video before the day is out, keeping you guys updated on this Saul to Chelsea story, which is, of course, sensational. So make sure you keep it locked, you're subbed, and drop a like. Anyway, let's go back to this page. Could there be any movement for Chelsea today? Chelsea have blocked Callum Hudson-Odoi's attempts to leave the club on loan, and he will remain part of Tuchel's side. Of course, he was being heavily linked to Borussia Dortmund, a story I've reported on. I think it would have been a really good move for the youngster, but I also completely understand why Tuchel wants to keep him with the squad. Tuchel suggested last week he couldn't afford for the 20-year-old to go anywhere because of the amount of fixtures Chelsea have this term. Chelsea will still be working on outgoings with the club to find possible loans for Ross Barkley. Yeah, Ross Barkley's still knocking about. Remember, Ross Barkley doesn't have a squad number. Mental. He's a relatively high-profile senior player. Ethan Ampadu, I reckon he will be likely to go as well. Malang Sarr, of course. Lewis Baker and Charlie Musonda. There's been some sort of speculation that Musonda might hang around for 6 months for more rehabilitation before maybe getting a loan in January. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has also been mentioned as a potential departure, but he is now more likely to stay. Let's quickly touch on that. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Tuchel has spoken positively about him before in press conferences. Remember, he says he thinks he's a little bit like Ballack in terms of his player profile, and he was aware of him prior to coming to Chelsea, so I have a feeling Tuchel would like to keep an eye on Ruben Loftus-Cheek in his training camp at Cobham to see, can I make this work? Can I make Ruben work in my system? Will he be a double six? Or would he be a front three player, like an inside number 10? I do think there's something in that. Remember, Ruben's mid-20s. He's experienced playing at a high level very, very well. Of course, for Maurizio Sarri, him and Hudson-Odoi probably played their best football, and that was a couple of years ago. So, yeah, keep an eye on Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I'll, of course, be reporting on that. Why did Chelsea want Saul? Chelsea have strong options in central midfield, but not many bodies, of course. Tuchel can currently select through Kante, Jorginho, and Kovacic, with Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Ethan Ampadu on the fringes. Mason Mount is also able to play through the middle. Pretty much everything that I've said so far. Excuse me. They let Billy Gilmour join Norwich on loan earlier this summer. Trevor Chalobah is another player emerged this season that's capable of playing in the midfield. Saul gives them a senior, talented option in the central of the park. in the centre of the park. I think it's the profile of player. Because Trevor Chalobah, he's more of a conventional CDM to sort of defend against transitions. A great player to bring in and put in front of the back four when you're trying to defend a point at Anfield, for example. You know, Tuchel's spoken about how it would be good defending transitions in midfield, but perhaps isn't the right profile for his type of double six midfielder. And that's why we can assume Saul is a little bit closer to that mould of player, and that's why Chelsea, and indeed Thomas Tuchel, probably wants him. How's he been used at Atletico? Primarily as a midfielder, but has varied. He's played most recently at wing-back. Yeah, this is something I've spoken about, not playing in the centre of the park, and those qualities suit a box-to-box style. He's adept at providing a defensive screen in the middle of the pitch. I think, all those attributes make him a good double six in Thomas Tuchel's system. Doing a Mateo, he could be more of a Mateo Kovacic, I suppose, cover, which leaves Jorginho, not cover for him in terms of how he plays, but Saul can sort of move the ball up and down, carry it into the final third, but presumably he can do receive and release, much like Jorginho. Still, really, really good that this deal's back on. Quite exciting, actually. He is a high-profile player, and I'm actually more excited about this being a loan than a permanent deal. Which, if it was a permanent deal, I'd be riddled with concern. But because that concern isn't there, I'm excited about a high-profile player potentially joining the roster for a season to offer needed cover. Again, it's an exciting player. And I'll be happy if it happens. I'll keep an eye very, very close to what's happening in the news. Keep it locked here to Football Therapy. Subscribe, drop a like to show some sweet love, and make sure that you comment your opinion on these stories down in the comment section below. Enjoy the football and see you soon.